Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Today we merge two badass worlds together with this Viking-inspired Mandalorian helmet. Stay tuned. Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, the new Mandalorian movie's coming out, and honestly, I've been kind of inspired to make Mandalorian stuff anyways. And by inspired, I mean Maddie has been just on me asking me to make Mandalorian armor. But rather than just make a show or movie accurate Mandalorian helmet, which there's a bunch of on the internet right now from some really great creators, I figured I could make it my own. We're like in a universe far, far away where Mandalorians were Vikings. I love in like comic books or something when they have like Batman as a medieval knight or something. So I thought it would be just so metal to see what like a Viking Mandalorian helmet would look like. I feel like those two worlds just kind of fit together in my head. So that's what we're doing here today. We're gonna make a Mandalorian helmet, but like Viking inspired. Let me couch that by saying very much just inspired by like the popular version of Viking, right? There's a whole culture and everything behind that we weren't really touching on. But all right, lots to do. Let's just jump right in on this. Now I'm gonna be making this out of leather because I like leather and I think it would look awesome. And though I'm sure there's a bunch of complex measurements one can take in order to like map out your head to make a helmet, I found the easiest way is just to make a template by wrapping your head in some plastic wrap and then following up with some duct tape. Note, I'm only wrapping from like here up. Don't put plastic wrap on your face. It's a good way to die. But once I have that whole crown area covered, I just slide it off and then I draw a line splitting this in 4 pieces, basically from like ear to ear over the head and then from like middle of the forehead to the middle of the back of the head. By putting it in these 4 pieces, it's just gonna make it way easier to mold that leather. Otherwise, we'd have to cut a bunch of gussets in it in order to actually make that shape. Now, aside from all the concussions, which makes me how I am, I'm sure my head is mostly symmetrical, so I just chose the best side and kept that, taking my duct tape copy and making paper copies out of it, just kind of mirroring it, so drawing it for one side and then flipping it for the other to make what I need. Doing that, I moved it from paper to then EVA foam, which is gonna just better mimic how the leather goes together, like thickness-wise, and how it wants to kind of fight me a little bit. Now, by bringing my seams together and keeping them together with a little bit of duct tape, I can test it and see that it does fit my melon, which is great. You wanna do a lot of testing before you start actually cutting leather because that becomes an expensive mistake where EVA foam's just cheaper, it's easier to work with. Okay, so looking at the actual Mandalorian helmet, you've got the dome bit for your head, and then you've got the kind of like face visor area as well. So in order to make that, I first just flattened the crown bit so I can get a good measurement basically from the back to the front and from one side to the very top of the crown. In general, whenever I'm doing stuff, I like to only take half of the measurements because then you just double it and you can be positive it's symmetrical. So with that in mind, I just transferred those measurements onto some paper, using this little roll of duct tape here to help get that nice rounded area like by the cheekbone. And after a couple of iterations, I end up with this bad boy right here, which I think looks like it'll fall correctly. This is a lot more art than science at this point, but it's gonna be my helmet and it's built to my face, so I think that's gonna look good. Happy with that, I just traced it onto some EVA foam and then flipped it over, again just mirroring it so I know that it's gonna be exactly symmetrical. So I basically just cut that face guard bit around with a strap that'll go around the sides of the helmet, as well as the cross braces that are gonna cover where the little crown bits come together. And once they're all taped together, I could really kind of test it out and get a feel for how it looks and all lays down. And yeah, right out the gate, it seems to fit pretty good. This was actually my first iteration, so I'm really glad I didn't have to do a lot of like adjustments. That being said, I do need a little back area here, like by the neck. For that, I just cut out a 4-inch wide strip that's long enough to go from basically behind one ear to just behind the other ear. Now this sucker's really starting to come together. If we were just making this out of EVA foam, we'd be a good portion of the way there. But we are missing the most complex part, which is actually like the cheeks here. If you see on the actual armor, it really kind of like goes in and mimics like a nice like hollowed out cheekbone area that gives you that real like hard warrior look. To make it, I basically just cut this little piece of paper out so that it overlaps both the back area and kind of where the I don't know what this bit would be called, but this bit that comes down on the front of the face here, so it goes right behind there. To add that depth, we're basically gonna wanna put some folds in it so that it makes that middle section go inward. It's a little hard to make out, and it'll make a lot more sense when I'm actually adding it to leather, but basically you want to make sure you have a flat surface so that where it connects to, like, let's say that back area just behind the ear, you want a flat surface right up against it so they can butt against each other and you can actually like rivet it in place. Then you want to zigzag in to make it dive towards you, and then zigzag back out so you get this plane of your cheek again. So you're basically going like 1, 2, 3. And you can see once it's in place, it really makes that little hollow in there that brings the whole look together. Again, it'll make a lot more sense once you see it actually folded into the leather, but for now, just trust me, it's a little zigzag pattern. We'll get there. Now, whenever you're doing something like this, especially if it's something you do actually plan on wearing, you really want to take your time during this portion and do as many iterations as possible so that you're sure it actually it fits and it's comfortable. Trust me, it's really easy to rush through this section, and it isn't until you're like out and actually using the thing that you start to notice all the bits and pieces that don't fit right and become uncomfortable. It's one thing to have things like look really good on the outside, but when they're a big old mess on the inside and they're kind of like all these different pressure points and pain points on you, it gets to be really wearing over time. Actually, honestly, people are sometimes like that too. Sometimes everything looks okay on the outside, but like the inner structure needs a little bit of extra help. And sometimes it's nice to have another set of eyes to look at that structure and help you figure out where those pain points are. And that's actually why I want to talk about BetterHelp for a second, today's sponsor. BetterHelp is this awesome platform that connects you with a licensed therapist based on whatever you're dealing with. The process is super easy. You just take a quick quiz and they match you with someone who fits. And if for some reason that doesn't work out, you can change at any time. Not only that, but it's super varied with the ways you can access it. You can do it like a video call, a phone call, text messages, so it's really easy to just fit into your life. Honestly, it's a service that both Maddie and I have used in the past, especially when things can get kind of like cluttered and overwhelming and you're just not sure where to go next. It's amazing to have somebody that you can actually talk to and work your way through it. And this actually ticks one of those boxes that are one of the most important things to me about mental health, is you don't just take care of it when things are wrong enough to notice it, right? Like mental health is health. So having a service there that can help you like you would at the gym, kind of keep up with that and keep yourself fit there is really helpful. Sometimes you just need help figuring things out or somebody to hold you accountable, or you just kind of want to work things through without worrying friends or family about it. By being able to talk to somebody who's outside of all those situations, you don't have to worry about managing other people's feelings while you're trying to deal with your own. So if that's something you think can help you or you're just curious about, go to betterhealth.com/skilltree to get 10% off for your first month of therapy. You can also check out our link in the description below if that's easier. Okay, so now that we have our template all figured out and feeling good, it's time to actually make it out of leather. For this project, I'm using this gorgeous 9-ounce veg tan leather. It's like an 8 to 9 ounce, definitely on the thicker side. You want something with a lot of structure though for this because you need it to hold its shape. There's gonna be a lot of wet forming and stuff going on here, and if it's too thin, it's gonna be floppy. So I just added all my templates to try to utilize the leather as best as I could, trace them in place, and then carefully cut everything out. As always, a dull knife is a dangerous knife, so make sure yours is nice and sharp. Once I was sure I had all my bits and pieces laid out and ready to go, I went ahead and beveled all of the edges that I knew would be showing. I mean, like wherever the crown plates are gonna meet together, you don't really have to bevel those. And anything that's gonna be like underneath the helmet or whatever, you don't have to. But all the stuff that's gonna be showing, you wanna make it look nice. I also used this groover tool just to add some details into certain areas to make it look more interesting. Then of course, I just went ahead and burnished down all my edges. Now, if you're brand new to leatherwork, I probably just went through a whole bunch of terms that you don't know. That's okay. I got a beginner's playlist right here that'll walk you through a lot of those things that I just talked about. You can check those out and then come back to this one if you're trying to make this with me. Now for one last little detail that I wanted to add to here, because I want this thing to look kind of like Viking inspired, I thought it would be cool to add runes to this little, the strap that goes from the front to the back here. So I just went to ye olde internets and found the Mandalorian word Kendosi, which I guess means strength. Thought it'd be perfect for this type of thing. I then took it from where I found it, added it to like a rune translator into Elder Futhark, and came up with these runic symbols that I just kind of drew in. I wasn't trying to be too perfect. I want this to look kind of rough. It's like a warrior thing, and I think it would be cool if it's just kind of imperfect. After tracing all of them into the leather with my stylus, I just went back in and I cut it with my swivel knife so that I can bevel those edges down and really make everything stick out. I think that's gonna look really cool. All right, that's all the little detailed bits. Now it's time to start actually shaping this thing into a helmet. Starting with those little crown plates there. To do this, I just go ahead and soak it in water. When you're doing this, you're gonna see a lot of bubbles coming out. That's all the tiny little air pockets that are inside of the leather filling with water. You want to wait until the bubbles stop coming out like you're a psychopath. After that, your leather's going to be super pliable. Now, a lot of professional folks will have something to help round things off like this, like maybe even a trailer hitch works or something. I don't have that. I just have this like labyrinth-esque ball here. But it works. I just kind of massage it into it, pressing around until I have this thing into a nice dome shape. How do you know when you're done, you ask? You just slap it into place. Helps when you've got the model 3 feet above your ass. It's right here. I got it. I just did that for all of them and left them to dry in shape. The only other thing that needs to be wet formed in this are those cheek parts, right? We got all those funky bends that are going on. Before we start soaking and bending these though, I want to thin out any of those areas that are going to be taking those bends. Right now that 8 to 9 ounce leather, it's a little bit too thick. So if I start trying to bend it, it's going to really fight with itself. So I just go ahead and skive the edges wherever I think those bends are going to happen, which is just using tools to take off material and really thin out that leather. Once it's thin enough, I soak everything and then use a bone folder to lock my bends into place. And this is where it hopefully makes a little bit more sense what I'm doing. You see, I put this larger bend into it on the side, and then a smaller bend that's gonna give me this kind of little Z curve here. That uppermost small, like flat section, that's actually gonna go against the inside of the leather that's coming around my neck here. So that's the spot where I can actually attach it. It's gonna come from there, it's gonna go down towards my cheek, and then back out. But of course, I also have this ridge here it has to connect to. So I've got to bend it outwards there, and then again back up so it has a place to connect to it. You don't just want the edge of the leather hitting against the back of the helmet because there's no way for you to attach that, right? You need to have a nice flat section for you to be able to rivet or sew in. Now, because I wanted this to be even more dramatic, I put one more fold just kind of in the middle here. That's gonna really send it backwards for me. And you can see once they're dried, they maintained all those little folds, and it really gives it that nice sunken in shape that the regular helmet actually has. I hope that makes sense. I genuinely don't know any other way I can explain that verbally. Yeah, I think you get it though. While we were doing all that, the crown had time to dry too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick all of that together by actually gluing up the very edges and then marrying those edges together. First doing the front 2 sections, then the back 2 sections, before putting those together to have the entire crown. Now I know I just said you don't want to have the butts kind of connecting together that way, but this one is just temporary. I just need them to hold into place so everything is correct when I go to put everything else together. And yeah, testing it out, this sucker works. I'm really happy. The last time I tried something like this, it came out, but it was a little bit tighter than I wanted it to be. This is perfect. It's gonna give me just enough space. Now I have all the pieces in leather cut out, but I'm missing one thing very specific. The Mandalorian helmets have this like screen in that little T-visor area there, but I want to stick with theme. I want it to look kind of Viking-y, right? So yeah, I decided to go with this aluminum sheeting here. I figured all those little perforations are gonna make it so that one, I can breathe and see and all of that, while still kind of obstructing the view of my face enough to feel sufficiently Mandalorian. To get the shape, I just use that front T-visor area there to trace it out, and then use my Dremel tool with a cutting wheel to cut everything into shape. Now, this is aluminum screening. I could have honestly just used some like thick scissors or some metal cutters. I didn't need to go up with a rotary tool. That is overkill. I'm just still moving into the office, and I really don't know where my cutters are. Couldn't find them to save my life. Anywho, once it's all cut out, I just kind of shape it so it will fit around my face, and then use the file to take down any sharp edges so it doesn't cut open my face. Finally, I hit it with some metallic black spray paint just because I thought the bright aluminum was too bright. It kind of took me out of everything. Just not the look I'm going for. Speaking of things being the right color, it was at this point I also dyed all of my pieces a nice medium brown. I went with a medium brown, not only because I think it will fit my theme, but also I have like 4 bottles of it. I don't know at what point in time I forgot what I had in inventory 3 extra times. I don't know, man. It's like medium brown, apparently. It's the new saddle tan for me. Anywho, once all that's dry, I added some contact adhesive to the visor right where the leather would actually marry up to it. Then also added some to the leather so that when I married them together, it would lock into place. See that? I'm a poet, and I didn't even realize. Again, whenever I'm using the contact adhesive here, it's just to hold things into place temporarily before I can like actually lock it into place with some rivets. Speaking of locking into place with some rivets, I went ahead and did that. This is going to help not only make sure that that screen stays in place, but actually because that screen is like rounded the way I need it, it keeps my leather in the correct shape too that I need it to be in. Happy with that, I just contact adhesive the band where it goes around the helmet, and then lock that in with some evenly placed rivets all the way around. And not only is this starting to look sick, but it fits. Oh my God, every time I put it on and it fits and it's starting to look more Mandalorian, it's so good. I get so excited. Now with that band locked into place, it's super easy for me to place the other bands, the one that goes kind of from ear to ear, as well as the one that goes over the top middle and all the way around my neck. Finally, to structurally bring this all together, it's time to add in those cheek areas. And now you can really see how these all go together, where that flat part has to like meet the front there so we can actually attach it. Though actually attaching it was a real bitch, let me tell you what. Like, of course I went ahead and used my compass just to make sure everything was evenly spaced out, but I couldn't like actually hole punch through it because there's aluminum behind it. My hole punch doesn't want to do that. So I had to drill all of those out, which isn't bad in of itself. You just got to make sure that you have it set to fast and you don't push too hard immediately, because you might have the leather like catch and pull itself up into the bit, and it makes a terrible mess. You just got to be extra careful if you're trying to drill your way through leather. But worse than that is actually locking the rivets into place. Like normally I can put it on an anvil or something, but this thing, if you remember how it went together, it has like a dip, then it goes up, and then another dip, and in between there is where the back of my rivet is. There's no way I can get that on the anvil. I actually had to balance a hammer so that I can place the back of every like rivet against it and use that as my anvil. It sucked. It was not fun to do. I know what you're thinking, why didn't you put the hammer into the clamp? Again, I'm moving and I have my clamp isn't here. It's real hard right now. But check that out. Oh my God, it fits so good. Like when I first put it on, I was a little bit worried because those cheekbone areas where it goes in, it's tight on right here on my head. So like that scrapes a little bit. I'd probably want to wear like a little, I don't know, like skull cap or something to have that part. But after that, it fits perfectly. Those cheeks actually sit right on my cheekbone and make it so that as I move my head, it just stays put. It's actually a really good design for a helmet. It just is perfect. But right now it looks too perfect. I want this to be a battle-worn helmet. So to help achieve that effect, I first just beat the hell out of it with my pocket knife here, giving it nice slashes and scrapes. Then just also beat it up with my file a little bit too to add some extra weird looking scrapes. I also decided to add a little bit of red acrylic paint to my runes at the top just to make them pop a little bit. They're not going to stay super red. I put it on kind of faintly and I'm going to antique it afterwards, so it's going to darken those up, but I like it just having a little bit of color. Finally, I use my knife to really scrape in some claw marks going across the eye and visor and open them up even a little bit more with some rough sandpaper, just to really add some depth to them and make it a little bit messy along the edges. I'm really going for like fighting with a cave bear kind of style here. Cool, now that we have it all marked up, we want to antique it to really make a lot of those marks pop up. To do that first, we're going to add some of this Pro Resist, which is going to stop the antiquing from darkening the leather too much. We don't want to restain it, we just want like all the lower areas to really take in some extra dye. So after putting the resist on with a moist sponge, I bust out this dark antique gel and then really rub it into all the areas, going back over it immediately and taking off all the surface stuff. Again, you want all the dye to sink into all the cracks and crevices there. It's gonna really bring out all that detail and make it look older in general and really kind of unify the whole piece. Once that had a little bit of time to dry, I went back in with some really rough steel wool and just hit all the highest points, all those edges, anything that's really sticking out that I think would get a lot of wear and tear. Then I went back in with a finer grit steel wool just to kind of add vignettes, you know, go to the next layer down, really lighten those up. Again, things that would still kind of rub against stuff, but also maybe get cleaned more often because it's more exposed. Just in general, it's gonna give it a lot more depth, making those darker areas a lot darker and those lighter areas feel like they're really popping out. Then finally, I went back in with my sandpaper one more time just to really brighten up those scratch marks just a little bit more. And oh my God, look at how friggin' cool this thing is. I am so beyond proud of how cool this came out. The scratch marks look awesome. The actual construction is so cool. I can't wear glasses. It is a tight fit for me, but like a nice tight, like it fits correctly. But watch, look at it. It's so good. Again, the cheekbone areas hit my forehead when I first put them on, but once I'm past that, It's like a perfect fit. It moves perfectly with my head. I can see everything just fine. I don't know if you can hear me real well. It's all like muffled and like, but yeah, check this out. That's so cool. And this is a thing that you can totally pull off. We started with some like plastic wrap and duct tape, and look at this. That's so cool, right? Oh, I'm so excited by it. But I'd love to hear from you, like what would you do differently, or what would be like other cool theming? I'm kind of feeling like the Predator-y vibes. I don't know, maybe some like chainmail hanging off of it would be kind of cool. They'll be awful heavy. I might want to do aluminum if I do that. Or go real tribal and have like bone beads and stuff hanging off. Maybe it's a little too Predator, I don't know. You let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Anyways, I hope you had fun with this project. If you did, why don't you give me some of that like it love and consider subscribing so you know when I release new content. In the meantime though, keep leveling up, you. You made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that. It's a fantastic way to support this channel. Another fantastic way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we can't do any of this without them. Special shout out to our new high-tier Patreon members, Toasty Sushi, Mr. J, and Thomas Rocap. And an extra special shout out to our Grand Master tier Patreon, Froggy. We super rely on our Patreon members to help us actually make all of these dreams become a reality. They're the ones who make it possible not only for us to learn all this stuff, but for us to bring it to you. So from the bottom of our heart, thank you so much for your support. If you like what we do here and want to support us, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Otherwise, you can check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that helps out a lot too. All right, I'm gonna enjoy this while I have it. I'm almost positive Maddie's gonna steal it. She's been wanting to be a Mandalorian forever. We'll see what other fun stuff I can make. Maybe we'll continue this little armor set. That'd be kind of cool.